No one was hotter down the stretch in the NBA than Marco D'Angelo as he went insane 33-12 against the spread. The NBA playoffs are here, and the real fun begins as there are no more resting players and guessing lineups. Remember when Marco closed out the football season in January with a 17-4 winning run in the playoffs and bowl games? Marco excels in postseason play as he has a special offer. The NBA playoffs are $2.99, but if you act now, you get every play Marco releases in the playoffs for just $2.49 using coupon code MarcoNBA50. This special price package includes Marco's top 5 rated NBA plays as well. Hurry, this offer ends soon.
Hey guys, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. It is time for another edition of Pony Pundits, powered by WagerTalk.com. Well, we had 2 down and 1 left to go as far as the Triple Crown goes. Belmont in just a couple of weeks, but before we get there, we do have a very interesting stakes race coming up this weekend out in Santa Anita, the Honeymoon Stakes, and who better to go ahead and break this race down than the following 2 Pony Pundits. There they are, Marco D'Angelo and Sig in the house for you. Coming off of, gentlemen, a Preakness that, surprising, there's a couple of adjectives here, Marco, I think, when we talk about the Preakness to describe what we witnessed here, but I think Baffert is the one adjective, and that's going to be a good adjective from now on. If you get Bafferted, you know what that means, basically, but talk to me, your thoughts about the Preakness, Marco, before we get into this weekend's race.
Well, when the race started and they broke out of the gate and set up the 3 horses that were running 1, 2, 3 out of the gate is exactly where I said those 3 horses would be, and I was feeling pretty good for all of about 30 seconds, and then I could see that the horse that was running third, which was the horse that we liked in the race, Concert Tour, Bob Baffert's other horse, never really, picked up his feet. The horse, poor race for him. I don't know if, Mike Smith couldn't get enough out of the horse, whatever it was, or the horse didn't have the good feed this week. I don't know. But as far as Baffert goes, it wasn't a good weekend for Bob. He had a favorite in the Black Eyed Susan on Friday, and that horse was nowhere to be found either. So after a disappointing weekend, he did finish third with Medina Spirit, raced, tough against Midnight Bourbon. And as we thought, Midnight Bourbon would put that horse away. And then we thought a horse would come from behind to beat Midnight Bourbon. And I thought that horse would be Concert Tour. Unfortunately, it was Rombauer. But as far as Bob Baffert goes, the weekend was just the beginning of the bad news for him, because Monday, the New York Racing Commission announced that until all the dust settles on the black cloud circling Mr. Bob Baffert, he will not be allowed to race at any of the New York racetracks. And during the summer, there's, that's pretty significant, because obviously you can't race in the Belmont. That means you're not going to race in the Travers. You're going to miss, the Saratoga meet if this drags on. So not a good weekend for Bob.
No, definitely not. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, Sig, moving forward here. Maybe a little too late, some might say, but at least somebody stood up and said, yeah, enough's enough with this. But your thoughts about what we witnessed at the Preakness, and what does it all mean looking ahead to the Belmont to you?
Well, Joe, Rombauer was the beneficiary of the perfect trip. He got a nice rail trip the whole way, had plenty left in the tank. And I think that extra few weeks off between his win at Golden Gate and the Preakness definitely helped him out a little bit. He was definitely a much more fit horse. He definitely had a lot of run in him at the end of that race. And there's a lot of talk about him going to the Belmont. I don't think he's not set up for that mile and a half distance. Really, there are very few horses that are. So it's going to be a really interesting few weeks to see who is going to make the trip to Belmont for the Belmont Stakes. And it's not going to have as much significance this year, given 2 different winners of the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, but still a big race. It's always a big racing weekend up in New York.
Yeah, no, that it is, and it's going to be a lot of fun one way or another. I mean, we're no Triple Crown winner this year. I don't think anybody really anticipated one, but the Belmont is always a good time. But of course, before we get there, we've got a stakes race, Santa Anita, coming up, race 7 tomorrow, that being Saturday. And before we dive into the Honeymoon Stakes, just want to go ahead and let you guys know there's one gentleman on this panel who is, don't touch him. The man is roasting hot here, guys, especially when it comes to the NBA, as Marco's record is just, guys, he's been absolutely on fire. 34-12 run as we head into these playoffs. We got one more playing game tonight for the Western Conference. Tomorrow, it is off and running to the races. How's that for a pun, Marco? 34-12, guys. You can get his entire NBA package right now, $249. Just use that promo code there, Marco NBA 50 at checkout. That's Marco NBA 50 at checkout. And go ahead and save yourself $50. Normally $299, $249 right now. Every one of Marco's selections throughout the NBA playoffs, all yours for $249. Remember that code, Marco NBA 50. And Sig continues to dominate daily, weekly, guys, with his daily racing reports. And you can pick those up by 9 a.m. Eastern time each and every racing day. Just head over to WagerTalk.com or directly to Sig's page at wt.buzz/Sig. All right, guys, let's take a look at this Honeymoon Stakes race 7 on Saturday, Santa Anita. And I'm just going to take a stab here. I'm looking at the number 1. Majestic Steps is a 30-1 morning line. So, Marco, I'm going to head to you first here with Majestic Steps, if I could, 30-1, because this seems like you might have a handle on Majestic Steps here. So take it away, Majestic Steps. Give me your thoughts on this filly here.
Yeah, well, 30-1 is about the right price for this particular horse. And you look at it, the only good thing that I can say about the particular horse is if you want to give a horse an excuse, look at the horse's past performance lines. And if you look to the far right in the program, you see those little triangles that are the troubled lines. This horse has run into trouble 5 times in a row, okay? And so you can say, well, if it gets a clean trip, maybe this horse can hit the board. Well, maybe this horse can hit the board if it gets a clean trip and 4 horses fall down in this race, he could hit the board, because I don't have anything good to say about Majestic Steps. Doesn't have the speed to go with these horses. This is being very ambitiously placed, entered in this race. I will say this much, though. Trainer Philip D'Amato has been, performing well on the West Coast. Last 30 days, his horses, 39 starts. He's won 23 of his starts and in the money 54% of the time. So good mark there, but that's about the only good thing I can say with this horse. He's picking up Victor Espinoza, which is an upgrade from the last race. But prior to that, Umberto Rispoli has been riding this horse, and this is one of the top, young jockeys on the West Coast. So I really don't see any advantage as far as picking up Victor here. So pass on the 1. That's all I can say.
We is passing on number 1, which means we're going to head over to number 2. More like it, 5-1, Sig. Now we're talking here. Quattroelle. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but we're going to go with that. I believe went up against another horse in this race that may be a favorite in the last 2 starts. Added blinkers. Jeff Mullins is the trainer. Talk to us at a 5-1 morning line with number 2.
First show pronunciation was perfect on Quattroelle. This Irish bred filly has been facing a number of these horses, like you just said. Going Global, who is your morning line favorite at 6-5, has beaten Quattroelle in her last 2 races here. She's often found trouble at the gate, but still manages to get herself in the position to be close at the finish here. With a clean start, I think this one could be a factor. Mullins is adding blinkers for the first time, which as 90% historically has been a winning angle for him. I think this horse can be a factor, and I am going to be using her in the exotic tickets.
Ooh, all right. We got some exotics there, and Marco will eventually, I'm sure, talk about the blinkers that she added, but we'll get to that. Number 3, let's look at Golden 8-1 morning line here. A Mandela trainee, I believe, improved her last start there behind Madone. So talk to me about number 3, Golden 8-1, Marco.
Yeah, finished a fast closing second in her last start. And as you mentioned, finished second to Madone, a horse that we'll be talking about later in the field and who is the second choice in this race. Well, here's my thing. If you like the 7 at all, Madone at 9-5, you've got to love Golden at 8-1. I mean, this horse was flying in the stretch, just missed losing by a length. And if you go back and watch that race and look at the 2 horses, Madone had the better trip. Never left the wood till the top of the stretch, was able to angle out clean and then make a run in the stretch to get the victory. Whereas this horse, Golden, came from way back, had to swing wide in the stretch and finish second. I think that at 8-1, this is a horse you have to use on your ticket, especially, like I said, if you like Madone. This is the picking up also jockey change here. You look at Umberto Rispoli, as I just mentioned earlier. This is a guy that's one of the up-and-coming jockeys on the West Coast. I like this guy. I think he can get the job done. He's going to be a price, going to be tough beating the favorite that we'll be talking about going global. But I think this horse is going to be used on my ticket a lot. And at 8-1, if I get 8-1, I'll be extremely happy.
Amen to that. All right. Distance should help too. Midnight Diva number 4 here, Sig, 12-1. Actually earned her first career win, I believe, which was her 5th career start last month. And she happened to do it at the same distance that we're going to see here for the Honeymoon Stakes at 12-1. Talk to me about Midnight Diva.
She did, Joe. Took her 5 attempts to break that maiden. The Midnight Loop filly did it in that 5th attempt here last month at Santa Anita. She's been improving with each start. If you take a look at the speed figures, they're stepping up at each individual race here. But I'm not a big fan of horses coming out of their maiden and facing winners for the first time. And this is only facing winners for the first time. This is going right from her maiden breaking victory into a grade 3 stakes against a much tougher field than she's seen before here. So I think it's a rather ambitious placement by the connections here. I do expect her to be on the early pace, but she's facing, like I said, a much tougher competition here. And she's also racing without Lasix after having Lasix for her last 4 attempts. So I think that's a drawback as well here. I think she's got to make a huge step forward to be a factor against the field, and I don't foresee that happening here. I'm pretty much tossing the filly. If I use her anywhere, it'll be in the 4th spot on some superfecta tickets here, but I don't give her much of a chance.
All right, well, let's move on. Number 5 here, Pizzazz. Mark, I'm sensing a theme. 8-1 here as well with Pizzazz, who just won the California Oak Stakes at the Golden Gate track there, and also finished 3rd behind Madone in the Surfer Girl Stakes. So interesting horse here, number 5, another 8-1 shot. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a interesting horse on paper, but I'll tell you what I don't like about this horse, and I hate to be critical of Mike Smith, but, you know, when we talked at the top of the show about the ride that Mike Smith had in the Preakness, we also talked at length about his ride he had in the Kentucky Derby. Mike Smith doesn't ride on a day-to-day basis anymore. He's limiting his rides. And in the last 30 days out here in California, he's only had 11 mounts. He's got 1 win and 1 second in his last 11 rides. I was not impressed with the 2 Triple Crown rides that he had. I think he gave his horse no shot where he had the horse placed in the wide trips, and I just can't bet him here. This is a horse is moving up in class. You said he did win his last race, but that was a very minor stake. None of the horses in that race are the caliber that he's going to race today in this one, or I should say tomorrow, as we're taping on Friday. Also want to point out his speed figures. just are not good enough to win this race. The horse, this is a horse that breeding-wise, he's out of Warfront, a $250,000 stud fee. Horse is, meant to be a good horse, but his class figures, his speed figures don't add up. Mike Smith, I think, is in the decline as far as a jockey go. There's too many good young jockeys in here. I'm going to pass on him in this one. If you use him, the only place I would use him in this race is on the very bottom of a trifecta or superfecta. I don't think he has a shot of finishing first or second.
All right. Well, that brings us to number 6, Going Global, who is now looking, I believe, she's won, 3 straight stakes at Santa Anita. And the interesting part, Sig, is that she increased the distance in each of those starts. She's beaten, like we've talked about, a few in this race. Certainly a deserving morning line favorite, 6-5 here. Give me your thoughts on her, Going Global, number 6.
Well, Joe, we know that I had to have the even horses this week because this is the morning line favorite here. But I want to touch on one thing that Marco said, speaking about the 5 horse. He said Mike Smith is limiting his rides, and I think he took that out of context. Mike Smith is limiting his rides. If you look at his past 2 rides in those Triple Crown races, in the Kentucky Derby and in the Preakness, he is definitely in decline here. I hate to say it because he's a great jockey. Been around forever. He's great for the sport, but he is definitely limiting his rides. But getting to Going Global, he's your morning line favorite. He came in here from Europe. He was an Irish-bred filly. She was an Irish-bred filly. And she's done nothing wrong since she got here. Like you said, each race going a little bit longer here. Flavien Prat's fantastic on the turf. And he seems to be timing her rides perfectly each step. Pratt is winning at a 24% rate the last month. And he's in the money 68% of the time. More than 2/3 of the time he's on a horse, that horse is going to hit the board here. So, I think he's the right rider on the right horse at the right time for this race here. He's going to go off, I think, at even money or less. And I expect her to be just off the pace early and coming on strong in the stretch here. She's definitely the best horse in this field, and it's her race to lose. She's a top contender, in my opinion. Will be on all my tickets here, and I'll likely key her on top of some exotic tickets.
Well, there you go. It's number 6, Marco. Hard to argue, especially with the success she's had against some of these other horses. One of those horses, though, that she has not faced is number 7, Madone, 9-5. So this will be a new competitor for Going Global. Talk to me about her chances of upending number 6.
Yeah, number 7 on paper is definitely the second choice in this race. And I can't fault anything that this horse has done. 5 career starts, 4 wins. The only time this horse did not win and didn't hit the board was last year, her final race of the 2020 season, her 2-year-old campaign, and that was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race. So we can give her a pass there for, coming up short, finished 8th in that race. But, Flavien Prat was riding this horse. Flavien Prat is committed to Going Global. So that tells you who Flavien Prat thinks is the better of the 2 horses. Now it picks up Juan Hernandez. And those of you that are not familiar with him, this is another of the up-and-coming jockeys. He was riding at Golden Gate, was top gun there pretty much. And his move is tacked down to go with the big boys at Santa Anita. And he's doing quite well. And again, the trainer on this horse is Simon Callahan, who has been doing well also. Only 9 starts for Callahan in the last 30 days, but he has won 33%. Those of you who want to do the quick math, that's 3 wins in 9 starts. But more impressively, his horses have hit the board 78% of the time. This guy doesn't run off the ticket, so you obviously got to use the horse on your ticket. And when we get to our picks, you'll see that's why I have him second in this race. But as I alluded to earlier, if you like this horse at 9-5, he only beat the 3 Golden by 1 length. And there's a big difference in odds between the 2 horses. And as we talk about, Joe, you do how many sports shows every day? Yep. How many times do you hear our handicappers talking about plus EV, looking for value and everything else. Well, Golden would be the plus EV play because you're getting a bigger price than you should be simply because the other two horses are going to be overbet in the race. So that's just our little handicapping lesson for you. Whenever you are looking at races and you see races where horses are racing against one another, yes, one horse beat the other horse, but go back and look at the race, look at the trips, look at by how much the horse beat that horse, and then look at the tote board and see if the difference in the odds justifies the prices. If you lose by, a head, a half a length, those two horses should be pretty close in odds. Check it out. So that's our little tip of the day, but I do like this horse. Use the 7 Madone on all of your tickets, and don't be scared with the rider change from Pratt to Hernandez. Jumped up the first time in her last start, gave the horse a great ride, ground-saving trip, and then got out at the top of the lane to make its move. So you're not losing too much there with the jockey.
It's going to be interesting. Grade 3 Honeymoon Stakes, $100,000 Grade 3 Honeymoon Stakes here with these 7 fillies. It is time now to take a look at what the tickets will look like. So, Marco, I'll come back to you, my friend. Putting it all together on a card, how are you going to approach this?
Well, I hate to use chalk on top, but this is the horse to beat and has earned it. Going Global, 6-5 morning line, is the best horse in the race. And until somebody shows they can beat her, she's undefeated here in the U.S., won 3 for 3, Pratt aboard, all of those. And again, Pratt, committing to this horse over the 7 horse tells you he likes this one better. That is enough for me. I put that horse on top. I went with Madone second, but I'll be honest with you. Probably what I'm going to end up doing is having the 6 on top, first and second, with the 3 horses I have on the board underneath. And they're interchangeable, and I'm probably going to just, punch out a big trifecta ticket that way, 6 over the 7-3-2. Anyway, they come underneath. We get it and hope that we get the 3 or the 2 to run in there second and, give us a better price on the tries and exactas.
Going to be an interesting race for sure. All right, let's see how Sig went ahead and differed, if at all, from Marco's ticket. What do you got going on, Sig, in this?
Well, Joe, Marco just told you he hates picking chalk on top, but his top 2 choices weren't chalk. At least I think a little shot here. Going Global is definitely, like I said, it's horse's race to lose. But I used that 3 Golden in the second spot here. I think this horse is going to cherish that extra distance. She's out of Tappet, and she hasn't been asked to go further than a mile yet. I think that extra distance is definitely going to help her here. And like Marco said in his analysis, she's had trouble on most of her trips here. Flavian Pratt's ongoing Global, Umberto Rispoli's on Golden. They have a nice friendly rivalry. Pratt is French, Rispoli's Italian, and it's sort of like that. When you go against your buddy at something, anything, darts, pool, golf, you want to beat them a little more than you want to beat anybody else. So I think Rispoli's going to give Golden a heck of a ride in here. I give him a little bit of a shot of an upset, but Going Golden is definitely the horse to beat in this field. And like Marco said, the way he's going to play it definitely makes sense to me. I think the 6 is going to win this race, or at worst finish second. And one of these other 3 horses will definitely be in the mix here. So 6-3-7-2 for me on Saturday.
Yeah, it looks like an opportunity here to cash some tickets, guys, this weekend in the Honeymoon Stakes. Full day of racing. Obviously, this is the 7th race at Santa Anita. Now would be a good time to remind you that Sig's daily racing report's always available race days by 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you visit Sig's page directly, wt.buzz/Sig, or you can head over to WagerTalk. In fact, let me just tell you, Marco's got a 5% NHL play. Those of you joining us here on Friday live, yeah, he got a 5% up in the NHL. He's been just as dominant there as he has been in the NBA. So my suggestion, go over to WagerTalk.com, grab yourself Sig's daily racing report, grab Marco's 5% play, in the NHL tonight. And don't forget, Marco NBA 50 is the code to use. He's on just a stupid gaudy, actually, if you ask me. 34-12 ATS run, guys. In the NBA over the last month, he's been absolutely seeing it better than anybody. Get every one of his NBA plays throughout the playoffs, right through the championship. Just $249 right now by using Marco NBA 50 at checkout. All right, guys, that does it for us here at the Pony Pundits. Don't forget, we'll be back again next week as 2 weeks away from the Belmont, but plenty of racing going on still. We'll meet you here next Friday. And then, of course, it's going to be all about the Belmont Stakes, the final leg of the Triple Crown coming your way. But in the meantime, let's cash some tickets this weekend. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Let's make it a profitable Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we'll talk to you again next week. On behalf of Marco D'Angelo and Sig, best of luck with your plays, guys. Come back and join us again on next Friday. Best of luck. We'll talk to you then.
Yes, you heard right. Get 90 days of picks for only $6.10 per day. A WagerTalk 90-day all-access pass covering all sports, all client releases, and all 5% best bets are priced at $8.49. But for a limited time, you can save $300 and lock in your favorite WagerTalk handicapper for the next 3 months for only $5.49, coming out to just $6.10 per day. Have an existing all-access pass? No worries. Your 90 days will be added to your current subscription and won't kick in until your current access expires. Act fast, as this offer expires Sunday at midnight.